Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. We are doing Reflection 230, and it's a part three of five of one of our, I guess, top five favorite book, which is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah, excited to pick back up on this one. We're like you mentioned, we're on part three of five. This particular reflection, for anybody, well, I guess we'll talk about it in the reflection, what the book's about. But just a quick refresher of the book itself. It's a book written by a famous psychologist and behavioral economist named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and it's about our two systems of our brain. One is our thinking fast brain, and one is our thinking slow brain. So the thinking fast brain is a little bit more autonomous, and oh geez, spider just crawled right up, and he's dead. All right. That was scary. It just popped out. Anyway,
You scared? You get terrified.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
he's
all
not scared anymore,
perspectives, right?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's terrified to death.
he's not scared anymore, though. I can tell you that. So we'll get into it in the reflection overall, but I think the reflection title of this one is System One is the real star of the show, and as you mentioned right before we jumped on this one, we've touched on this topic so many different times through our discussions, through the Year of Magical Learning discussions. This is the first time I really introduced it explicitly in the reflection. So this may be a quick one potentially today because but you never know. We always find things that we want to talk about. So we'll probably go 500 different directions. Maybe
So as long as you ask different questions.
Right, exactly. So what I mean by the System One is the real star of the show. As we've talked about, as you and I have talked about a million times, I'm not telling you anything you don't know at this point in time, but the 99 probably 0.9% of our actions every single day are run by our System One, our thinking fast brain, the one that's had millions of years of evolution and trial and error and make up and trying to figure out what's the best course of action for us to take on any given day, and programming our brains and our chemicals in our body to go do the stuff that it needs to go do in order to make life happen, to make us be able to function in this world every single day, and know where we are, know how to interact with the world and how to interact with people around us, and just how to get by in general. And System Two, when I first started this book, I don't know about you, but like I'm kind of curious to actually get your thoughts on this one. When I first started to read Thinking Fast and Slow, I figured, because the System Two is the rational thinking brain, the logic, the let's put our thinking caps on and we'll problem solve our way through this. I always thought like, oh, that's what's going to be the hero of the story here. That's what's going to make us unique and human. That's what's going to make us the superhero here, right? Like this is stuff that only humans can do, kind of thing, right? And actually the funny thing is that the more I got further and further into the story, and the more I've gone further and further down this journey, we're told in society all the time. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I feel like you're just beat over the head as a kid, rationality and logic, science, rationality, logic. I go take jogs down the road, and you ever seen those signs where it's like science is real, blah blah blah, like like, and it's like this like list of all this stuff that people want to put in their yard, in a yard sign. It's like, God, science is real, love is love, and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, I can't remember all the stuff that's always on it, but there's like 5 things that's in there, clearly to tell people like you're an idiot if you don't believe in like things like global warming or whatever, and not that I really want to get into those kind of topics, but the point is like I feel like we're the intellectual community, especially in the Western world, is dominated by the idea of rationality and logic, and that's how I always was. My whole life I've always been somebody that tried to follow that same line of thinking, and really thought, hey, like whoever can be the most logical should be the winner. As a matter of fact, I remember, side tangent real fast. I remember this book that I read back in college, by my favorite professor with econ or 368 or whatever it was, that the philosophy of economics course that you and
Mm-hmm.
I've
Mm-hmm.
played around with a
268.
few times. Yeah,
Yeah.
360. Yeah. And
268.
yes, 368. Yes. And one of the books that he made me read, one of the rare books that I read in college that wasn't a textbook, was given to me by that professor. It was this book called The Curious Enlightenment of Professor Karatat. And I was like, he gave us this book to read as an assignment. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I don't want to read this shit, And the book was about this professor named Professor Karatat, who went to he lived in this place called I can't remember what world that he lived in, but his society was having troubles. And he was dispatched by his society to go to some of the other world powers, which was Militaria, Utilitaria, Libertaria, and I can't remember the fourth one, but the one that so he would go to each one of these worlds and he would research it, live amongst the people, figure out how they operate, what their logic was, what their in Militaria, obviously was very authoritarian. It was very play by the rules and all about war and whatever and the war machine and Libertaria was all about freedom and free speech and he would see the great things about it and then he would see the awful things about it. Well, in Utilitaria, this is like the Spock, society, like logic dominated society, where they everything is made on the utility decision of like, when do you kill your what do you do with old people? Well, once they don't,
But I
once
get
they're
to
no longer,
40, you kill them off because
pretty much
they're no use, but they're taking as much resources as an adult, right? Because
right.
as far as utility is concerned, then these guys are basically on its way
Pass their
down.
time. They're just a cost in society at that point in time.
Is it is a
And
is a
yeah.
negative sum when you get to that age, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was the argument of utilitaria, and when I was in college, like when I was reading this book, I was like, I know this is supposed to be like symbolic. In the final chapter, he comes back to his society. He's like, look, I've traveled all over to all these different places, and the truth is we have to blend a little bit of everybody, and obviously that was the kind of what the message that he delivered back to his people. He was like, because nobody's perfect, but it's like using all the ideas, yada yada yada. That was the kind of the gist of the story. It was fun though. I enjoyed the story. However, what I was getting at, when I'm telling you all this, is Utilitaria was the one that was like most appealing to me, because I was like, oh well, that makes sense. Like that's like I guess that just logically makes sense. If you can't produce something better for society, then why would you be here? Or like if you can't, anyway. So like for me, like that was always the way that I feel like my brain worked before this whole journey, for sure. As I went through this book, and as we've talked about with the happiness hypothesis, as we talked about, Nudge, Blink, all the other books in this journey that we've continued to unpack, like how powerful our unconscious is and our elephant is, and the system one is. It really dawned on me as I was reading this book, like, shit, that's really the star of the show, man. Like, we can't do anything. I can't play tennis. I can't. I mean, think about, like, I gave the example of tennis in here. Like, if I was trying to go play tennis, and to think about all the coordination that my body has to do, breathing, my eyesight, the math trajectory of the ball and the swing of the pattern of the hands, like on the full sprint and doing this. So if I was to like try to logically figure all that shit out one by one, and to go like, well, I need to do this, and then I just got to move my hand like this, and you know what I mean. If I try to do all that with my system 2 brain and really think about it, like I wouldn't even, I don't know. We wouldn't even survive. We would die. Like, let's just be honest. Like if every decision that we had to make in the course of the day, was dictated by that logical brain, we wouldn't get very far in this world. And so for me, like that was the revelation.
You wouldn't survive.
You would not survive. Yeah, and that was kind of
one second you say, hey, I forgot to breathe, and then I forgot to balance myself. Boom, yeah, then the payment like, okay, like you forget all that stuff. Okay, there's like 10 million things that's doing all at once, and then if you had to do without the system one, so essentially you're gonna forget something else. Like you forget like 999 other things, 999,000 of other things.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is if there's 1,000 decisions to be made, we automatically make 999. Then we let our writer focus on that one that we can, maybe get a little bit better at or something like that, and that's fine. Like, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like, don't get me wrong, like System 2, there's a lot of great things about it as well.
Sometimes we
yeah.
basically like completely withdraw our system 2 from doing anything. It's like, oh, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do nothing. It's like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so it's like it goes into this little corner and it cries his eyes out.
Exactly. Yeah. I
And
mean,
then
it's a
I think
petulant.
it's not even like, okay, you must deliver that 1%. No, the system 1 takes everything. It's system 2 decide to go into the corner and bury his head in the sand, right? Because
Exactly.
he's not doing anything. He's like, I'm depressed. I'm gonna go put my head in the sand. He
Exactly.
doesn't do anything.
If anything, it focusing on the wrong shit can distract your System 1 from doing everything else. What it's supposed to do. Like, if anything, you can only
Yes,
you're probably more detrimental
the
most of
same
the time
thing
than
is
is.
like system 1 say, hey, don't eat that, past due green molded covered chocolate
Right.
bar. And system 1 too say, I want to eat it
Yeah.
if I want to.
Yeah, you never
You
know.
eat it, right?
Yeah.
So system 1 is trying to prevent you from dying. You think about
Pretty
it.
much. Yeah.
Not only they have to breathe, maintain balance, prevent you from dying, send the right resources, send the right antibodies, send what. It's doing a lot of things that you don't realize. And I'm telling
Right.
you, that's like million things it's doing, because without it, like your system 1 always causes it actually runs everything. You cannot live without system 1, because the moment
Right.
that you take away system 1, you realize there's certain things that, hey, I didn't know we're supposed to do that. Like I said,
Yeah.
do you know that you're
Yeah.
supposed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
maintain your body from foreign bodies, from like
Nope.
like the bacteria? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, now I know. Okay, when I sit
I mean,
around,
like,
I'm being attacked everywhere. Like suddenly,
are
oh,
are
I
are
have no
all
more
of our
stomach.
senses, I mean, yeah, exactly, our bodily functions, our senses, our ability to talk, and like, I mean, we
And
talked about
ability
this
to
before.
blink and dodge.
Right.
Like if I throw something at you, like, well, what do you do? It blinks, it dodges, right? It moves all those
Right.
muscles.
Right. It's the in the world of
And
seeing
if somebody
telepathy.
grabs you from behind, what happened? Right? It has its
Right.
head like somebody's grabbing you behind. Like all the sensors, right? It's all system 1's in control, because it is instinctively do. Because that's what I'm saying. Like for like martial arts, right? You actually practice to the point where the system 1 has the utility of it, and it does it automatically in the fight. In the fight, you
Right.
can't do shit. You can't think. And so you think about
Right.
the system
You shouldn't.
1
You absolutely can't think, because
is
you'll
doing
you'll
everything,
yeah.
and system 2 just
Right.
hides and hides in the corner somewhere until the fight's done.
It's supposed to. It should. Sometimes it wants to poke its little head out and
Well, you
take
think
control,
about it,
but
when you're
yeah.
in a fight, when you like, I'm serious, like when you're in a fight, are you in thinking mode?
No. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not totally true. I'll say this: you can buy yourself a little bit more time by doing visualizations and trainings and practice beforehand to slow things down just a little bit more for your System 1, deliberate, like through like deliberate practice or something like that. But
But system
once
2
the
get the
game is
heck out of
on,
there.
yeah, once
That's
the
what I'm
game is
saying.
on,
What
like, yeah.
the moment that it is in action, system 2 just basically, that's the disappearance act until the fight's over. Then they
Pretty
come back
much.
to, hey, good job, or you did very bad, or whatever. Whatever criticism that comes to mind, that's your system 2 talking to system 1, regardless
Exactly.
of what system 1 did for you.
Exactly. No, you're spot on. I mean, it's a
It's like, hey, you're not very good. You got a nick over there. It's like, well, it wasn't for me, you'd be dead. You
for
know,
sure.
you wouldn't have the opportunity to criticize me. But that's the thing, it's based on perspectives of Chris. The I guess the conditioning of society to system 1. System 1, it's very, very influenced by the society and how we think, right? We think the same way, and then eventually those
Right.
thinking like puts the little indentations inside of system 1 and allows system 1 to say, well, this is one of your, it's either a enhancement or a one of those dampeners that prevents you from being, you know good at what you do.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's I don't know, man. I mean, we've talked about this one so many times that it's like for us, like I'm actually wondering here, how about this? How about this as a question for us as just like a thought question, or a thought experiment. Like, what would life be like if you didn't have a system two? Would you rather
Like
have that?
like I said, if you don't have system two, we are basically like any like an elephant.
Yeah, but elephants
Like
are,
the thing
I mean,
is
they're pretty intelligent.
no, the thing is all animals have this system one.
Mhm.
So are we. It's just that the conditioning. Let's say so I talked about this before. Like how does river get formed?
Just keeps going. I mean, until it just keeps just chip it away. What do you mean? Like over time, eroding, through
No,
rock.
that's it in the beginning. I mean, I asked you like how does river get formed in the first place?
I mean, a bunch of rain pools up in a low
Exactly.
valley area,
So
and
you have the cloud, right? You have the sun heats up the water over here. It rises in the cloud, become this fluffy air. The wind blows it across something, and then it starts to precipitate, then go down. And the water has to find a path to go down back to the ocean to get
right,
collected and recycled again. Just like you go to like some let's say you go to some kind of park, right? There's always some kind of a trail, right? And you want to go, for that. You follow the trail. You don't say I'm going to carve my new path here, right? Because
right,
let's say you go onto some campus and they would put a corner, right, so that people can walk in the corner. But then you see this curve, yeah, the cut the shortcut, right? It curves in and it but like you see the grass and then you have this path where people walked on and it basically dead and carve a path, right? So essentially, the rain over time will follow the same path because of its natural ability to say, well, if there is already a lower point, I mean, it's easy to follow that path than anything else. So
right,
over time, these number of stimuli that we get as an elephant with our system to kind of dictate. It actually based on that randomness theory. Just like you put an animal inside of a cage or whatever. Eventually, it's gonna based on the inputs of all these stimulus that it has, right? It's gonna carve its natural brain path, whatever, like the river does. To
right,
me, as a human being, right, system two has the ability to filter. That's the only thing it does, right?
right,
It does not basically it basically another layer between the stimulus and system one. It goes because the thing is for me, like I say, hey, don't think of an elephant. You immediately think of an elephant, but it is up to you to decide what to do with information. You cannot say, hey, I won't take the information. If you're within my the distance of my voice, you will get the information regardless of whether you want it or not. But I think
right,
it's system one is the one that has to do all the work. So system two becomes this firewall sort of it filters out all the stuff. So that's why like the number of time you do a certain thing, it doesn't actually like carve you into this like a river. It carves into the indentations of the terrain. It doesn't create that strong connection on that neuron. So basically, those neurons are more weighted towards system two, saying this kind of habit is good to do. So continue this. So the system two gets the information, filters out and pass it in. So sometimes you pass in the wrong information, it becomes a drug addict or whatever. It basically gives you that extra layer. But if we don't have system two, the slow part of the brain, which is basically an elephant without a rider. You think about it.
yeah. But that's kind of my question is it better to be that? I mean, or not?
No, I think having flexibility, just like
Well, it's because
okay,
they still have
I
all
mean,
the
if
emotions.
they
They
go
still
go
have
back to
all
what I'm
the
saying before, everything has its pros and cons, okay? Because if I were to give you a sword, right? I mean, the thing is, you in the medieval world, right? You have a sword and you want to defend yourself,
right,
right? And so a sword could be bad for you. You could be, stabbed by your own sword, right? Or because you have a sword, other people want to fight you, right? So having a sword is both good and bad. Having a second brain is actually also good and bad, because it allows you to create completely channel the wrong thing into your brain. You basically system one say, okay, I'm gonna listen to system two now, because system two, that's your job now. I don't want to take all the stimulus in, right? And process it myself. I'm gonna take the stimulus in and I'm gonna send it to you. And then you send back to me some feedback, right? You gotta go out there and be my scouts. Right? Be my scouts and tell me what's going on. When something comes in, I'll automatically notify you, but you gotta process the little thing, right? And send to me some kind of things that maybe I can use.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, is like, you know, when you do that, you get things like.
So my question is, would you prefer to be
hang on.
human or be a chimpanzee? I mean,
Well, but that's what I was gonna say is like the by doing that, you know, in a truly hypothetical sense, you get things like science and math and you know, construction and you know, a lot of like the stuff that you're just talking about, like as the system two, like that's as you use the higher order thinking, like is that good or bad? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, honestly, because
but like I say, I think the thing is the problem I see is that everybody is keeps saying is it good or bad in a universal sense. There's no such thing.
Right. Well, sorry. Is it helpful or not helpful to us?
Again, to us, is in universal sense. Doesn't make sense either.
Well, so the other question behind that is, it reminds me of, you know, just finishing up another
So the
Taleb
thing
book
is, you
today.
basically on a thinking of, you know, you look at like the human being perspective, right? You look at that perspective. I mean, you're asking, hey, you know, would it be better off if human being didn't exist,
No, I
or
didn't say that. Well, I
that's the
mean, hell,
question.
that is actually a question, because everywhere that we've gone, we destroy
But
shit.
that's the question
You
that you're
know?
asking. You know, is it good for
Yeah.
us? That's the perspective you're looking for an answer. And to me, that doesn't exist.
Well, I
It
mean,
does not exist.
that's actually
You can
an interesting.
project to say, okay, I have the answer, but you just say, hey, you know, human beings are bad because of this or whatever. It's what you don't see, right?
Well, I didn't say we're bad. Like, I mean, to be clear, I'm
No.
saying
I'm just talking about when you're asking for a perspective of human as a species in that particular
right.
perspective. There's no answer to that question.
Oh, I know.
It
There's
doesn't
no answer.
exist.
Yeah.
The
Right.
only perspective is the individual is good for you, it's good for me, because there is a concrete context in that.
Is it good for you? Is my point.
For me, yes, but for you, it could be different. I'm not you.
I mean, that's fair. Okay. Well,
I can only answer my perspectives. I can't answer your perspective.
it makes me think of the whole, you know, Taleb concept of like the via negativa, right? Just finished that today, right? You know, of another reminder of that. You know, adding more shit. You know, we add a lot of shit into our lives, like using system two. Like, honestly, like let's just call a spade a spade. Like that is there are via positiva functionality is like, oh, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did that? What if we did this? What if we did that? You know, like, you know, our elephants are the other way around, right? Like it's our elephants naturally are like, eliminate this, this, and this, because that'll kill us. Like, you know, that's it. Like, you know,
But the
we're
thing
gonna
is,
do it.
it's like I said, there's no like completely good answers and no completely bad answers, because you can't say yes and you can't say no, because there's always reason why you can support one side or another side.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there is no
Because like I
answer to
say,
this
I mean,
question.
like a sword, right? You say, well, a sword is bad because it can hurt you and because it invite violence into your life. But then at the same time, you can't really defend yourself. So for
Right.
me, if you go and say, well, you don't need system one, you don't need system two, because system two can be like the elephant without the rider. It's natural, you know. It doesn't drive the elephant into the mud and get stuck, because you know system two become a tantrum child, whatever.
Right.
It did put elephant into a bad situation, because elephant trusts his rider, right? And he got me stuck in this thinking mud hole, whatever. So that's bad. But at the
Right.
same time, system two can also get you out of trouble. So
Gonna
for
give me a lot of
me,
trouble.
human beings, right? Yes, a system to allow us to do some like really bad stuff, some nasty stuff to our species and to other species. But at the same time, if we are like the dinosaurs and when the asteroid comes, right, we are sitting ducks. There's nothing we can do. But if we have system 2, we can shoot that thing out of the galaxy. We can do something. We can burrow into the. We can learn about the rise of mammal, the rise and rise of mammals,
Yeah,
right?
but we
they
did that
can
anyway
burrow.
with
They
that.
can burrow inside in some earth, and you can survive. The dinosaur has no capabilities to avoid that fate. The fate is to go extinct. For us, because this is one of the things, we become very adaptable. This is our strength, but it's also our weakness because our adaptability allows us to do like crazy shit that is unpredictable.
It is
And we
where our system 2 does make us unpredictable, I feel like.
but that's the thing is you think about it, like there are random
That could be a
chances
good thing.
where you
It'll
can
be a
say,
good thing,
okay,
yeah.
I have the ability to adapt, and if an asteroid comes like a dinosaurs or our species becomes extinct, right? The system 2 and us allow us to become a completely adaptable species. You say, well, whatever the new world happens to be, I can live in there. I can figure out how to live in there, right?
Potentially, yeah.
But if you say, well, if on the other side, right, with system 2, it's like you create all this devastation in your wake because you destroy all this stuff.
Well, you may have also inadvertently destroyed your own world, like by with system 2, like
But that's the
maybe,
thing is, it's from your perspective whether that's a good or bad, because I can't answer your perspective. I can only answer mine, and because I'd rather have this ability to flux, right? And say, well,
right.
the thing is, it's one of those things where you say, well, it's a toss. It's a toss up between life or death, right? You flip a coin and you say, well, there is a possibility I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna do anything. This is for you. Like you go out there and you drive to work, right? Is there a possibility you can get in a car accident and die?
Sure.
But why do you still drive?
I didn't even think about it. I just let my elephant woke
So
up
now
and do
you
what it was
know.
doing. Yeah.
Are you still gonna drive? You're gonna drive. You're gonna go different. You can go to airplane, right?
Well, if
Even though
if
airplane is
if
very
everybody
safe.
if the majority of my
I asked you,
neighborhood,
is there a chance that the airplane will go down and completely crash and blow up?
sure,
Is there a chance?
sure.
Exactly. Even though it's very low, but you still fly, don't you?
If everybody in my neighborhood that flew or that drove a car to work today, and only 95% of them came, or only 5% of them came back home from work, I probably wouldn't drive to work tomorrow. I mean,
But the thing is, no, that's not my point though. My point is there is a possibility that you could kill yourself, but there's
yeah, for
also
sure.
a possibility that you can thrive. And so, from
Yeah.
my perspective, yes, I would like to have system 2. Thank you very much. Because you think about it, like I know that when I go out there, right, somebody can hit me, right,
Right.
in the car, and I die. And statistics is not like
But you
zero.
invented that car. Your system 2 is the one that invented the car.
But regardless, you have this ability, right, to go out there and build something. But at the same time, right, you say, well, my ability to do something that is gonna help me, but also there is a slight chance. Okay, there is a chance in either side that I'm gonna build something that will kill me. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's
So
exactly
the question
what
for
I'm
you
saying.
is like, I mean, to me, if you're asking for the whole species perspective, hey, should we even exist? And is it better off if we completely die off and become extinct? Right? That's a question people ask, and to me, it's like, hey, I don't speak for you.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not gonna
speak for
dab.
you or
I'm
anyone
not gonna
else.
dabble into that one.
I cannot say, okay, we should do this. That's bullshit. Like, for me, it's like I can only answer for myself. For you, you can answer that question yourself. So don't ask the questions like, okay, is it better out? Because I'm sick and tired of these people asking stupid questions has no answers to.
Right. That's fair. I
Because
mean,
to me, there's no point in saying something if you only understand one side, right? When you say, well, I'm like I'm like against global warming, or I'm for global warming, whatever. But what are you saying? What are
well,
you saying? Right?
there's
You're not saying
no
anything
skin.
other than make propaganda and try to push this BS into my head. To me,
Well,
it's like I don't think it's not my perspective. You only look at your perspective, and your perspective is like, hey, this is universal sense. I think global warming can kill us, and we need to stop. Blah blah blah. Right? You basically become the philosopher that I hate. Right? You
that's
have
what I
your
was
own
gonna say.
philosophy. You force your
There's no
own. For
skin in the
me, is that
game.
you didn't ask me. Right? You didn't say, okay, from your perspective, do you think is beneficial or
Right.
harmful or whatever? You just tell from your story. And your story, your point of view is essentially the point of view of the whole species.
Right. Which obviously I can't.
Because, like I say, I cannot answer for yourself because I have no right to do that, and rightly so because I don't know. I'm not you.
Yeah. No. Totally. And it's a no skin in the game question too. Where it's like I don't know. Should you can't really answer. It's a total.
The thing is, the vegetarians are the one that say, "Hey, don't eat meat."
Right.
Right. You are a fucking vegetarian. You didn't give up anything.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's I think the reason why, for me, I am even that thought even comes into my head is because for at least my whole life, like I said, I've always seen System 2 as our superpower. But as this journey has gone on, I still obviously very much so value it. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation, and it adds more enjoyment to my life, and I get to find a way to connect with my daughter by using System 2 and things like that. But at the same time, I feel as it is an interesting quandary, but I couldn't ask that question if
Not a
if I didn't have
me.
System 2. But I couldn't even ask that question.
It's not a quadrant for me. I will tell you straight. I have never thought about giving up System 2. Okay.
Oh, I haven't either. I wouldn't do it either.
I won't even consider it. Right? I already taken my positions. So for me, this is not a quandary, right? To me, it's black and white. Right? I have System 2. I want to keep it. I'm not going to give it back. Right?
That's true.
If you want to give it back, that's your prerogative. Don't ask me to give it back.
That's a good point. It's like trying to give back your what is it? Wealth, never mind. I can't remember. So that's it. All right. It's interesting. All right. I feel like we messed around and found something to talk about for 30 minutes here.
It's always interesting questions you can ask. Like you asking, right? The question is, will you be better off without System 2? And no, not for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The question I asked at the end of this was, what would life be like if we had to think slow about everything we did? If you got rid of System 1,
you cannot. The thing is, you cannot live without System 1. Agreed. Okay, to me, it's not possible.
But you can live
without System 2 because System 2 came later. That's a proven fact, right? But that's what I'm saying. You can't really say, "Hey, imagine what life would be like if we had to think slow about everything," because you can't. It doesn't work.
You can't. Well, so maybe you could. I don't know how. I don't know how that would evolve evolutionarily. It would probably turn into System 1.
It take you the whole. It take you the whole day to keep you alive.
Right. It would be
because you have to do so many things. Jack, okay, breathe.
Right.
What? How long do I need to hold my breath? Right.
They
go check. Okay, check. It's by the time you come back to the breathing, right?
You'd have to have
What else? What else can you do?
I don't even know.
You're basically a slob if you have only System 2 working, because in order to do 1,000 things, you have to do 1,000 things sequentially.
Yep.
System 2 cannot multitask.
Agreed.
If you think you are multitasking and you are multitasking all along, you are mistaken.
So the moral of the story is System 1 is the star of the show, but System 2 also is very important. And I think I'm in agreement with you.
I think it's part of the team. I'm not gonna give away System 2 for nothing, because System 2 has its its benefits and advantages. Yes, it does have its. Even System 1 has its negatives, right? Because
of course.
It basically being trained to be an elephant, and so once it's trained, right, it's like a big ship. You're asking it to turn on a dime, it just can't do it.
Right.
It's not a little boat like right.
Right.
you know,
beaver's got a dam. The beaver's gonna dam no matter what.
right? And so,
Yeah,
for you to stop the ship or stop that train, it's not gonna say, "I'm gonna stop and run away." So it has its
right.
pros and its cons. So it's everything. So that's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. It's you gotta let the elephant be the elephant.
right.
Let the rider be the rider, because
Good one.
each has its own duties. You gotta do your duties, and it's good. So don't take it away to your duty is less important, or your duty is you can't live without me, or whatever. To me, it's yeah, yes and no, but there's nothing black and white in our wicked world, right? Our wicked environment. In the real world, it's nothing that is always black. It's nothing that's black and white. I
Right.
mean, everything is a spectrum of stuff, like from the whitest to the darkest shades of gray or black, whatever.
Agreed.
And there's like millions in between, so you can't really say hi this or that.
Agreed. Well, that was fun as always. And looking forward to our last two of this one. I don't even remember what I wrote, but I'm sure we'll figure it out when we get there. But any final thoughts for the night?
No, I think we exhaust this topic. So I think everybody understand. But that's the thing is, we have looped a lot of the happiness hypothesis as the explainer.
It is. No,
Visual, and
we're going through them
the
both,
props.
and I wrote all these like kind of simultaneously as well. So like we've been spending a lot of time talking about this elephant for the past couple of weeks. I feel like that's why both you and I were kind of like, I feel like we talked about this because we have. But we're almost out of this element, so we're almost there. Awesome. All right, well, looking forward to tomorrow night and our next exciting episode of part 4 or 5 of Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah,
which will be
another installment from Daniel Kahneman tomorrow. Stay
stay tuned. Yeah. Awesome. All right, have a good night, everyone.
Good night.